Well, market watcher David Shapiro is with us in the studio to tell us that the stock market didn't go up today.
No.
Unusually.
First day in 8 that it's down. We had a very good run, but I think we're bound to see some kind of profit taking or pullback after such a strong rally. And I think a lot of commentators are now forecasting it, almost edging it on. You might have seen the headlines with Mark Mobius, who runs the Templeton Fund, and he spoke in the East and mentioned that the market could go down 30%. I think the same way as you've been saying it.
How was
Dow
he
theory.
edging it on if he says it can go down 30%?
You know, it happens. You start to see markets getting frothy. People start to get a little nervous, and it's bound to have some kind of rebound. And then you get the media focusing on
the negative stuff.
And
Well, it was down 1.5%
Yeah.
today. Is this concerning you bulls?
Not really, because I think most of the people getting out are traders. Chaps who are taking. I think investors who have come into the market and who feel that we're starting to see the early signs of a turnaround, I think are starting to accumulate stock. Would prefer to accumulate stock. So
What
I think
kind of stock, though, David?
quality shares. I think
the
on the
quality-
JSE.
Quality shares have had a good run.
Yeah,
That's
they
why
will.
I
And
asked.
I still think that people will continue, or investors will continue to accumulate them. We see shares that are focusing on emerging markets like British American Tobacco, Richemont, SAB Miller, still very strong, still drawing in support. A commodity company like BHP Billiton, even Anglo, strangely enough, doing well. Kumba had a very good day today. If you looked at the numbers coming out of China, demand for the stimulus program there is working, so that's creating a demand from auto manufacturers, from the steel producers.
Good days for Kumba at the moment, but the inside story on China
Yeah.
is that they're building up inventories at a rapid rate, and then in fact at some point in time they're going to stop building up inventories.
We
and
saw
that is
that-
going to hurt.
We saw that in copper. In copper, they stopped buying. So last month we saw a demand drop quite dramatically, and that hurt the copper price. But in certain areas, such as the steel producers, those that the minerals that go into, or metals and minerals that go into steel producers, are doing very well.
Well, you're not the only one who believes that the steel producers are in good shape. Brian Gilbertson's Pallinghurst today secured 800 million rands worth of funds. And remember, when he was in the studio, he was explaining to us how they focus on the steel value chain.
Which is steel and iron ore and manganese. Those are the two areas that he's focusing on.
So if steel does well,
and-
Pallinghurst does well, and people are prepared to give him money.
Yeah, platinum's the other area that he's in, but it shows you I think, what did he raise? About 800 million.
800.
With Oasis and Trinity, two institutions coming behind him. But they're known to take big bets, and they normally do their business. They normally do their research. So,
Who, Trinity?
well, not Trinity. I don't know Trinity. I better not say anything. I don't know Trinity that well, but I know Oasis.
Peter
well.
George.
Okay.
Anything to do with gold?
Gold, yeah.
Let's buy.
Peter loves it.
Peter and Quentin, his son, they got mixed up with Brett Kibble. That's why I wonder you'd say they did their homework. Not in that instance.
That's a big bet they take, yeah.
Sure. They're backing Gilbertson. So you know of worse people that you can bet on. Italtile's results today, David, the point that
Yeah.
I'd like to just pick up on was in the commentary where the chief executive said it has, due to the economy, they've dramatically curtailed, seen dramatically curtailed consumer discretionary spend. Dramatically curtailed means very sharply falling.
Yeah.
Consumers' discretionary spend, in other words, the money that they have
Yeah.
left over at the end of the month.
Yeah.
People aren't buying tiles.
No, they're not. You can see that in the housing market, and they particularly on the renovation market. So they've been hurt, and that's a company that has a very proud record from the time that it was listed. So it shows you what's happening in the residential side. On the other hand, you've got Mike Ashton here, who will show you what's happening.
Upton.
Sorry. As well. And you'll see what's happening on the on the construction side. There, it's a different story.
We will talk Group 5 a little later. Bell Equipment we'll also talk a bit later. That's
shocker.
in trouble.
Yeah, that's a shocker. In fact, I think if you look at those results, you see how close they are to almost folding. I mean, if it wasn't for the financiers and backers, I think that company would be in trouble. Alec, there's a story there for Buffett followers. Buffett always avoids companies that put a lot of that require capital for capital equipment, and this is an example. It just shows you how quickly things can turn around in that market.
Well, to give you an indication of what David's saying there, the revenues for the 6 months are 1.4 billion rands. They're by half what they were a year ago. There's no way you can trade out of a situation like that, and so they have in stock just over 2 billion rands worth of those big
And
machines
they've got to
sitting there which
finance
they
it.
can't
They've got to
move.
finance. They
They've got to-
need
they've got to pay
cash.
for it.
Yeah, and that's the danger.